welcome back to round 4. For the first time in these 5 matches, we're going to get to play first. So I'm going to choose to do so. Good for a control deck. This hand seems fine. We get to Evolving Wilds. We have Opt for selection. I really love this card. Like, the other control decks aren't running it, but cantrips are amazing. But they let you do wonderful things where you don't flood out as bad, you draw better late game as your opponent. Like, we have Opt, who's Supreme Will. We have Memory. We have a lot of ways to not flood out. Like, Opt is a very good card. And yeah. Like, we're gonna win games because we have it in our deck and we don't flood out as bad as other control decks. Like, I feel like we were really favored against traditional control decks. Not like the Bant deck that we saw earlier, which is more of a, I don't even know, like a Bant lands deck. Looks like we're against Grixis Energy. But like against a blue-white or Esper control deck, we're probably in a great spot. If this is a control deck like I think it is, I'm not really sure what exactly it is because they didn't play anything on 2, and I thought it was Grixis Energy. I'm bottom this, we don't need more lands. Just get an island, because we want to be predominantly on blue sources. Like, this could cost us. We need Bontus later, and we just never hit anything. I don't think they have a counter here. I'm just going to take this opportunity to resolve an As Foretold. Probably. Maybe they have main deck Negate, or Censor, or Syncopate. The addition of Syncopate, there's a lot more turn 2 counters. I was considering putting it in this deck, but it doesn't really work that great with As Foretold because you can't cast it, and then it's really clunky with Bontus, and it looks like we're getting Syncopated. What really sucks about Syncopate is that it's always relevant. It's not like Censor where they cycle it and then hit a land most of the time, or some irrelevant thing. Look, like, we're almost certainly against control deck here. I'm not sure exactly what. That As Foretold to resolve, we probably just win the game super easily. But now we have 2 Essence Scatters that are most likely not going to be useful for a while. Potentially not at all if they're a Planeswalker-based control deck. Although if they're running Gear Hulks, then maybe this is just blue-red control. Just Opt. I'll top that. We need more lands. And Supreme Will. Look for like a Glimmer or something. Or a Pull. Need my card advantage. Looks like I'm taking Metallurgic Summonings. Like what that did there was that just put 2 Bontus to the bottom, which is great. Kind of wanted that island, but whatever. 3rd Essence Scatter. I assume we both have tons of dead cards in this matchup. I don't feel confident enough that this Metallurgic Summonings would resolve, although there's certainly an argument to just slamming it here because this is their Glimmer turn. Oh, Hieroglyphic Illumination. Close enough. Like, this is the turn that they play that kind of card, and you're supposed to, most of the time you want to act on that turn because that forces them to not use it, and then they have to use up their mana the next turn. They can't really commit to do anything. Probably just get a swamp with this Field of Ruin. Not really sure what they're playing. Might be a Dynavolt, blue-red Dynavolt tower, maybe? In which case, probably in a good spot. So you have 4 Negates, 4 Duresses, Sorcerous Spyglass, these Dispossesses to take out all the other stuff. I'm just going to take out the Ether Hub, because maybe they're splashing something, and I'm not denying them any of their blue or red mana. Yeah, we're kind of in an awful spot here. Although I assume their hand is also just like piles and piles of removal. Potentially counterspells, because we haven't played anything in a while. We're probably just going to end up playing Draw-Go for a while. I'll try not to tap down on Essence Scatter so they can't just sneak at a Gear Hulk and then I have to use actual removal because we don't have Vraska's Contempt. Just deal with that. I don't know, maybe Syncopate should be in that deck. If you want to pick up the deck after you've seen the videos, I would certainly suggest trying it out if you think you're going to be playing this deck a lot. I might be wrong. It might be better than something like some of these. It might be better than like some of the Essence Scatters or Supreme Wills because it allows you to because it would allow you to, while it would be worse with As Foretold, it would allow you to do stuff like have a counterspell that's good late game and isn't dead against control decks. Although I think this deck doesn't really need help against control, or traditional control, something like this, instead of the Bant Lands deck, which is, I don't know, I feel like it's worse because it probably loses to the hyper-aggressive decks a lot worse, because it doesn't have as much spot removal. I just want lands for days in this matchup. Yeah, I'm going to have to discard, but discarding a completely dead Essence Scatter is probably fine. I doubt I'll be using it. I'm not even going to Glimmer here. Is that true? I think I'll just Supreme Will. I doubt that's going to be relevant. Just try to find more lands or something. If this As Foretold had been ticking up, I would have won this game a long time ago. Just take another Supreme Will. The one problem I do have is they syncopate away our Metallurgic Summonings. We don't actually have a win con, which is kind of a problem. Yep, so on their turn I'll probably go double Glimmer, in case unless they play something important. I'm just going to try to hit all my land drops because I'm running I'm running Commit, and I'm probably going to end up doing that at some point. They might counter this, in which case I'll just let it happen. I'll just top both. Probably just pitch more Essence Scatters. Hand size. Play Evolving Wilds, I guess. Actually, I'll just pitch this Fatal Push. I doubt that'll ever be relevant. I'm not really sure what they're playing here. Maybe Dynavolt Tower? That makes sense. Like, I'm hitting my 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 9. Okay, we've gotten way further into our deck, but the problem is the further we go into our deck, oh geez, we're almost out of basics. Which is a reason to, okay, I'm going to take the As Foretold here. Gives us something for them to force us to counter. We did not draw the last basic, I'm just going to go get that now. So we don't draw it off something by accident. Although yeah. Unfortunately, these Field of Ruins are just wasteland now. And I mean, they're going to try to like counter it, but this isn't like Modern where it's letting me cheat in Ancestral Visions. So like they're using a hard counter on this, which I feel like is very wrong. It just doesn't do anything. It's like, sure, it could be important later on, but I feel like this game is going to be more about how can I force through this Metallurgic Summonings. Be Geralt, please. Alright, another Hieroglyphic Elimination. I think I like Glimmer better in this deck because this deck has a lot of cards that are dead against control decks, and getting to scry stuff away is great, even though we can't use the energy. And we already have 4 ops, so we're not going to have a hard time hitting lands most of the time. So we don't really need to cycle. Just top that. Fortunately, like, I can't imagine they have that many hard counters. They probably have, what, Gear Hulks, which I can counter. They have a couple disallows. Standard decks, maybe a commit or 2, potentially. But, like, they're using up all their disallows here. And then I'm going to get to resolve a giant, I'm going to get to do something crazy eventually, and they're not going to be able to deal with it. Because like, they're not a white deck. They can't cast out my Metallurgic Summonings once it resolves. Like, if it resolves, they're toast. Unfortunately, I don't really have very many hard counters outside the commit memories. Maybe they'll Field of Ruin me here, which would kind of suck. I can't go too crazy with these pull from tomorrows, because I will get milled out by Ibn Rivulet if I do. I think I'll go for 7. Try to do a counter war here, resolve the Metallurgic Summonings. They only have, like, if they go Disallow plus Gear Hulk, I'm going to feel pretty sad that I did this for so much, but I highly doubt they're just going to let this resolve, because they would be in a terrible spot if I get to just go, like, you know, they let it resolve. Okay. I'm going to just pitch a Moment of Craving, because those are just dead. I have a bunch of dead cards here. Like, I am starting to run out of lands in my deck. It's possible they don't have any more basics, but I kind of doubt it. But I think their hand is just, like, all removal. Although, I think they should have counted that pull. Yep, they're disallowing it, and I think this is wrong because there's so few cards that actually matter at this point in the game. Like, I have 9 cards in hand, and I have a bunch of them being dead. Like, if they have to do Syncopate here, they have to do it for, like, 8. Commit my Metallurgic Summonings. I'm fine drawing that later on. No, they can Field of Ruin it away, or hit New Rivulet. So I think I have to counter back. And unfortunately, I don't actually have enough to counter something important here. Actually, this isn't a Dynavolt Tower deck, and I know that because they don't have Glimmers, which would be much better with Dynavolt Tower. They have Hieroglyphic Illuminations. I'm not sure what their win con is. I'm actually going to discard a Fatal Push here because there's no Mindslaver effects that make me sad, and I'm going to syncopate. Oh, they're syncopating the Metallurgic Summonings itself, which is exceedingly bad for me because now I have 1 win con left in the entire deck. Meaning, if they get rid of that one, I can't win. Like, post-board, this will be a lot better because I'll have Duresses and Negates to force this through, but now I can't be all that aggressive. Just pitch a Fatal Push. Bontus could be relevant if they, like, somehow resolve a Gear Hulk. If I am going to lose this game, I kind of want to figure out what the win con is first, just because I'm not really sure what it is. Could be Gear Hulks that they're smartly holding, but I'm going to commit. I mean, I'm going to memory, because I have 6 dead cards in hand. They're going to commit my memory. So it exiles it anyway, so I'm just going to commit their commit, because it'll just get shuffled away. It looks like they have a lot more counters than I do. And see, this is kind of a symptom of running Supreme Will over Disallow, because if I disallow, I could have forced through some stuff earlier. They're just going to destroy my Drowned Catacombs. Kind of sucks, because that's Wasteland. And they know they're going to do that because they'd rather draw Field of Ruin than a basic, and now that they know that I have no more basics, I'm never going to get to keep any non-basics around for the rest of the game. I'm just stuck at 9 lands. Okay. Okay. This is exceedingly bad for me that I drew 2 cards that have no text. This is where Fetid Pools would have been much better. I'm probably dead here. I don't know. They're running a lot more hard counters than I am. They're going to syncopate me here. And this might be an argument for syncopate. Like, in a control matchup, they get to, I could do something like just exile all their win cons and then just keep shuffling through the deck. But like, here's my problem. I didn't draw any Essence Scatters. I drew Fatal Push and Moments of Craving, which, have no text. Good news is I have 2 Supreme Wills, which are, maybe relevant. The problem is just, like, if they resolve a Gear Hulk, I'm toast. Like, I've already used 1 win con, a commit to memory, and those are gone forever. They're casting Glimmers, so they're running Glimmers and Hieroglyphic Illuminations. I consider doing that because, honestly, when people are like 4 of, like, the 4 of limit is there, so that way you can't run too many of the same card, but, like, Hieroglyphic Illumination and Glimmer of Genius are super similar cards. I felt like my 5th Glimmer was going to be Pull from Tomorrow, and that I don't need a ton of the same effect. I'm not really sure what my opponent's win con is here. And honestly, I doubt they have that many more basics in their deck. Like, they're running a ton of non-basics. They're running probably 4 Ether Hubs, like 2 to 3 Field of Ruins. Okay, I'll take a Glimmer. I don't need As Foretold. My problem is I only have one win con left, and if they realize that, I'm never resolving it. I cast a second Glimmer, and then I'm going to Supreme Will, or I'm going to cast Glimmer. It's like, the problem is, with Syncopate, is we get to this point in the game, and then it's just kind of dead a lot of the time because I have to spend 12 mana to use it, and then my opponent plays something else and I cry. Tapping 3 mana, do nothing. I'll take a commit. They might not have any more basics. I can't imagine them having a ton. I'm just gonna hold this. This Glimmer's good, but that's not what I'm fighting over. I need to fight over the fact that not resolving a Metallurgic Summonings is just brutal, because I only have one more, and I don't want to commit. I don't want to have to memory again, because every time I memory, I lose one of my hard counters. They're glimmering themselves. See, I feel like a lot of this is going to be time, because I'm not really sure what win cons my opponent was running. I don't know if they have any at all. I mean, I'm sure they do, but like, if they're running Dynavolt Tower, they're running 4 Glimmers, probably 2 Hieroglyphics. Like, it's just very questionable why they're running that many Hieroglyphics. And honestly, why are they discarding Fiery Cannonade if they know I'm a Metallurgic Summoning stack? They'd probably not want to discard that one. And see, the problem is, like, we both have tons of dead cards, but which just kind of makes Control Mirrors kind of lame game one, because it's just like, wow, who drew more cards that aren't dead? But like, I'm not going to concede until I figure out what their win con is, because without them having a win con, I don't know whether to board and Dispossess or not. Like, I could just sit here with, 3 totally dead cards in hand, like a probably dead card, and a commit to memory. I really don't want to use these memories, because then I lose a hard counter every time when I shuffle it back in. Like, we can just play Draw Go with my opponent. The problem is, like, it's just like, I have to figure out what their win con is, because they know mine is Metallurgic Summonings. But, like, without knowing their win con, Dispossess is just, like, not useful. Okay, it is Gearhulk. I'm just going to let that resolve, because I can just Bontu's it. Okay, they are a Gearhulk deck, which means I leave in the Essence Scatters. Yeah, like, I want 4 Duress, potentially the Spyglass, third as Canta deck. I might just bring that in speculatively. Like 4, 8, 9, 10, I definitely want. And I want to cut all the Fatal Pushes, the Moment of Cravings, probably the Consign to Oblivion, that's about it. And the Bontus. That's already 10. And like, it would be kind of greedy for my opponent to run Torrential as their only win con, so I kind of doubt that. Just like, that's a really bad idea. Because if you run it as your only win con, that's a great way to just get absolutely destroyed when your opponent... Yeah, like, you're going to have a really hard time winning if your opponent's running a bunch of removal, because you'll just never be able to kill them. Yep, this game might come down to decking, like... Oh, I'm going to commit that. I think fighting over resolving my Metallurgic Summonings isn't particularly important compared to this. Oh geez, did they draw their third Gearhulk? They did. They just drew all their Gearhulks. Let's stop here, because I desperately want a Field of Ruin them. I get the Ipni Rivulet, because that one mills me out. Unfortunately, if I remember correctly, we have no basics left. Are they disallowing this? That would actually be really smart on their part. As I played Bontu's, this Field of Ruin doesn't untap. And then they're just going to play Draw Spell, play Gear Hulk, and then I'm going to, like, desperately try to do anything. It's just kind of weird, though, because, like, they have to have another win con. The Locust God. Okay, that makes sense. I'm just going to scoop now. There's no way I win this. And I figured out their win cons. Yeah, the Locust God makes sense. They might still have other stuff, but I think they would have played Azcanta if they had it. So it might just be a sideboard card. Alright, so I'm going to cut the Bontus, cut the Moment of Cravings, cut the Fatal Pushes, board in Duresses, all the Duresses. They're really good with the As Foretold. And they disrupt our opponent, help us play around counter magic, bring in all the gates. I want the Essence Scatters if all their win cons are like that. Cut the Consign to Oblivion. It's fine, but I don't think I'm really loving it. Bouncing Gear Hulks is not great, although it's great against the Locust God. I want both Dispossesses. And then to make room for the Dispossess, I will probably end up cutting probably one Essence Scatter. Like, they only have like 5 or 6 cards that I'm actually countering with this. I'd know about it ahead of time. I just think that overloading on Essence Scatter effects is not the way to win here. The way to win here is I have to stick that As Foretold on 3, and then they probably lose from there. If I Dispossess and, like, take out all their Gear Hulks, they have, like, what, 1 win con? So, this hand seems great. Like, I'm not happy that I have the Essence Scatter in the opener, but it gets to go As Foretold on 3. I can Duress the turn before to make sure that it's going through. It is a little short on lands, but it has a Glimmer. It has a great curve. I get to go As Foretold into Glimmer. Although they can't commit an As Foretold off the table, which kind of stinks. Okay, drawing that Essence Scatter was probably the worst draw in my deck. I'm going to bottom that. We drew a land. That's good for us. Unfortunately, now I can't Duress the turn before. I'm either going to have to wait another turn, which is probably not amazing for me. And, like, in this post-board, they have probably Syncopate and Negates here. Although there is just an argument to... Okay, it's Azcanta. Crook of Condemnation. I don't know if I agree with that inclusion. Like, they know that I'm going to, like, commit a ton, but at the same time, that's a completely... I think what happened is they have no removal, so they just wanted this. Even though it doesn't... It's not like Relic, it doesn't draw a card. It lets them do something very powerful, which is that they get to be able to just say, memorying is really bad for you, and you can't memory. So I'm going to Duress here, see what's going on with our opponent's hand. So they're just going to start shredding our graveyard, so we can't memory. That's off the table. I think my plan is probably going to be Dispossess, because then they have no shot of actually doing a lot of stuff. Okay, so we got a Braid. That's completely dead. We have a Gear Hulk. That's probably dead because of the Essence Scatter. 2 Disallows. Wait, our Braid? Yeah, they probably brought it in because they have way too much removal. They have a Braid, Harness Lightning, 2 So what we care about, the 2 Disallows and the Hieroglyphic Illumination. They don't actually have lands, so that's interesting. I think I might just take the Hieroglyphic Illumination because of that, and just be like, you can never do anything. You can't actually cast double blue cards very well because you only have 1 energy. I'll just take their Illumination. Then on their end step, I get to cast Glimmer, although I'm not even sure I want to. Because if I do, I have nothing to force through next turn. If I draw Metallurgic Summonings, I'm going to feel pretty stupid, but... Like, I desperately don't want to Field of Ruin here, because that gives them blue mana, where they wouldn't have it before. Like, I can just start letting them discard to hand size, although Abrade and Harness Lane are just dead cards anyway. This is another reason I did include Dynavolt Tower, even though that would be okay otherwise. Because then when I get to a scenario like this, I'm kind of confused why they're not crooking and just taking out all my cards, but I don't know. I'm not going to Field of Ruin. I might have Escanta and I don't need the fixing. Like, this is cool. Now I get to go Glimmer on their end step for free, and if they counter it, I get to go pull for a ton and probably untap and cast Metallurgic Summonings. They can't do both. Although if they drew Negate, which is kind of likely considering how many cards they've seen. Alright, so I'll just top both Duresses. Those seem good. Duress them. Not using As Foretold. I don't think... I'm gonna... Okay, they triple Gear Hulk. So I'm really happy that I kept in these Essence Scatters. Guess I'll cast this one with As Foretold. I mean, they can disallow it, but, like, not much of a point. Like, now their hand is just 3 cards that I just don't care about remotely. Now I can pull for 5, and even if they draw land. Like, if they had been using this crook correctly, like... Yeah, they should have been doing that from the start. If they want to take out all my cards, and then... Because then I just have no cards to draw, and the memory doesn't actually do anything. It'd be kind of unfortunate if they drew a hard counter here. This is kind of weird. All my opponents have been getting mana screwed. Like, this deck is seeming a lot better than it is. Like, it's not a bad deck for sure, but at the same time, it's not like this... it's not like almost unbeatable like it seems like it seems to be. I think I'll just discard Evolving Wilds. I don't need more lands. Play a land. Play As Foretold for free. I'm gonna sit here. There's not much I can do. I can, like, I got Supreme Wills, I guess, but it's just... They're gonna Glimmer. I don't think I want them to play that. Because, like, I know their hand. I don't want them hitting lands. They're smart, they'll crook out the pull. Like, what they should be doing is they should have aggressively been crooking away everything that they wouldn't want me to draw. So all that would be left is Evolving Wilds. Because right now what's going to happen is they can't Gear Hulk. Like, honestly, because of the way this deck is built, I'm not even sure it wants Gear Hulk. Because it just turns on all of my opponent's removal. And allows them to bring, like, my opponent, one of the strengths of this deck, my opponent has completely dead cards in their deck, where if I was running, like, the Scarab God or Gear Hulk, they would be turned on. And, like, yep. I get to hold a double Essence Scatter here. I don't know. There's no Disrupting Shoal. Like, I'm going to probably time out my opponent in Game 3, because this game is probably over. Like, these Supreme Wills being about the same as Pull would be. They're going to Gear Hulk. I'll just Essence Scatter it. Kind of interesting that running Crook instead of just, like, Scavenger Grounds. Card is extremely strong. I'm going to take Metallurgic Summonings here. Like, once I get to just untap with Metallurgic Summonings, as much as I want commit. Super unfortunate I drew that land there. I really need, like, a second Negate or something else, because, like, once I draw a commit and get to commit, I'm in a great spot. But, Like, the problem with this deck is I dig into my deck and get a bunch of cards, and then I can't do anything with those extra cards because they're just infinite answers. I mean, that fits the style of deck I like playing pretty well. Fortunately, popping this Metallurgic Summonings isn't going to be great either. Okay. I'm gonna just take out all your Torrentials, opponent, and then you'll be left with, like, a single Locust God. If they're going to cast their Torrential here, I'm going to just counter it with the As Foretold. The As Foretold's haven't been great here. Like, I can't... They're much better when I have a plethora of draw spells to play, but I'm just going to dispossess all their Gearhulks away. Are they scooping? Makes sense. Probably don't have any way to take Metallurgic Summonings off the table, and if they only have the Locust God. Like, I might have lost there if they gotten to resolve a single Gearhulk. Like, I think I might want this 4th Essence Scatter. Like, these two are the cards that I might bring in. Like, I don't care about Crook very much. Like, I think I want that Essence Scatter just because, like, well, it's interesting. So, on one hand, I don't really want it because I already have 2 Dispossess. I think I don't want it. Consign's probably just bad. Like, it's only good against Locust God. And making them discard 2 removal spells is just bad. So it's just Disperse, and I don't like that. Essence Scatter, I have 2 Dispossesses, which are just like, I have no creatures to counter now. And it involves them in drawing a ton of Gearhulks, which I have other counters for. And if the game goes super long, I probably will have Dispossessed. I feel like black is in a super great spot in this matchup, and I definitely prepared for the control matchup. I feel like this deck probably is pretty good against aggro with all the Bontu's Last Reckonings. Yep, this hand's fine. If I don't draw lands, it's going to be kind of problematic. Oh, my opponent almost skipped there. I think I'm going to wait a turn to Duress, so that way I can do it the turn before I As Foretold. Because resolving this As Foretold is super good. I'll feel kind of bad if they Azcanta here. Or not Azcanta, if they like... Yeah, if they Azcanta. I don't think they have it, though. I'm going to play a land so that we can play around Syncopate to start. Kind of want this Duress to resolve. This is free information. So double disallow. The mismatching Sulfur falls, but it's a single disallow. They might spend it on As Foretold, and if they do, then I'm going to get to resolve a big pull later. Like, they only have so many hard counters. They probably have, like... Like, the lovely part is they have to keep in Braids and Harness Lightnings. Like, I don't. This is interesting, because I can play Evolving Wilds. I think I'll just play Field of Ruin. Like, I'm not sure if I really want to try to force through this As Foretold. It might just be better to wait. Like, if I play it, they're forced to use their disallow, but at the same time, like, would I rather we both not have those cards? And I think the answer is no, I would rather we both... Okay, now I'm going to play this As Foretold. So this allows me to dispossess the turn before they have Gearhulk. If they let this resolve, I probably win this game in the long run. Like, that's the reason I lost the first game, because I couldn't resolve it As Foretold. To just, like, completely dominate. Oh, Syncopate for 1. That's really bad for me. Because that means that I can't, not going to be able to resolve this Dispossess super... I'm not going to guarantee to resolve this Dispossess. Now I'm going to have to start digging for lands, and that game just went from a great spot to a horrible one. Well, it's not horrible, but, like, I'm going to really want to resolve this Dispossess. Okay. I'm going to look with my Supreme Will, because I want to negate or something. Opt, commit. I'll just take opt, try to find a land, or a negate. That's not true. I'll take Supreme Will. I'll take Springwell. I don't need to commit, but opt is pretty good, but that's one of those cases where I wish it had been lands instead. Just opt. Try to find some lands. If it's Negate, I'll keep it. That's a not great land to have, but I'm going to try to force through a Dispossess at some point, and if that works, I'll probably win this game pretty easily because they'll have like the Locust God as their only win con. I'm going to draw another Duress eventually. I think I'm just going to Field a Ruin here. Targeting the Spiral Bluff so that way when I commit back, it'll enter tapped. And mostly because it doesn't really matter. I just want better mana fixing. And they probably have less basics than I do. I could Dispossess here and try to fight back, but I think I'd rather just probably pull for a bunch on their end step. And that's not great, because then they can Gear Hulk and get into play. Just gonna Springwell. Okay. I'm gonna take a Glimmer. Because as much as I want Negate, Glimmer probably just finds me. I'd rather have a Duress, because they're cheaper. And then they let me know what I have to play around. And if they like Gear Hulk here, I'll be pretty sad. Alright, I'll top both. Now I think I'm ready to try to force through this Dispossess. Okay, Dispossess you. I'm going to disallow. I'm going to negate their disallow. I know they have a Braid and 4 unknowns. They could have another disallow or syncopate here, which kind of suck. I'm going to disallow my negate. Okay, sure. Like, here's the thing. It's not even that bad for me, because that tells me that they either don't have very many... Like, now these Essence Scatters are still alive. And, like, we're both missing land drops. They just used 3 hard counters. Like, try to resolve something here. Oh, it's a Glimmer. And here's the thing. Like, they might be holding up their 4th Disallow or something, but they have... Well, their win cons are pretty quick, so time's not a huge factor. Like, mine's pretty slow with Metallurgic Summonings, but... I'm just going to start slamming more and more threats. Eventually something we'll have to get through. Oh, it made it through. Maybe they're trying to Essence Scatter, or maybe I need to Essence Scatter here, but I have Commit. So they'd have to have, like, a threat with double counter backup. And, like, in matchups like these, I'm not sure if I want Jace's defeat over the Negates, because... Like, they're going to Gear Hulk. I'm going to Essence Scatter it. They might have a Syncopate. Even if they do, like, what are they going to do? They just resolved a Hieroglyphic Elimination, I guess. And now I'm probably in a spot where I can't lose. This is why this deck has a really good matchup against Control. Because, like, I prepared for the matchup. Like, this deck doesn't have a ton of bad matchups in general. The matchups are fairly even. I'd say Control is pretty favored. Like, a Super Friends deck would just get absolutely destroyed by Game 1. In Game 2, we'd have a ton of answers, but they might win the top deck war. I don't know. I feel like I'm overestimating this deck a little bit. Might have a problem against a really aggressive red decks because the win con's super slow. Might just get burned out. Like, what happens here is they don't have enough hard counter. They don't have enough counters. I think I'll just bottom both. I don't really want tap lands. Yeah, and, like, I drew a bunch of good cards. Just Supreme Will. They could resolve a Gear Hulk here, which would kind of suck, but it wouldn't really even be that bad. Like, they resolve Gear Hulk. It doesn't really do anything. Like, it casts Glimmer, I guess, or they can counter my Impulse, but at the end of the day, yeah, like, they Glimmer, and now they just have a 5/6 with no real text because I just have a giant Metallurgic Summonings. I feel like that Supreme Will might have been greedy because these Essence Scatters aren't doing a whole bunch. After I Dispossess, I get to go commit Dispossess, but they do. They went top, so that's bad for me. Unfortunately, these don't actually kill Gearhulk on their own. Get a Braid. Second Metallurgic Summoning seems good. They're running low on time, so they have to play super quickly. And, like, I now get to just make them very sad. Like, they're gonna braid one of my tokens, and I'm just gonna be like, sure, have it. Or actually, I'll just let them attack with the Gearhulk and then murder them on the black backswing. I'm kind of surprised they're not running Dynavolt Tower. That seems good. The card used to be a mainstay in control decks. Jaya Ballard. That's not super bad for me if that resolves, so I'll just try to counter this. Because I have a bunch of tokens. Like, if this ultimates, I'd be toast, but I guess with Fiery Cannonade in the deck, that makes sense. I think you disallow my Negate, and then I think your Jaya Ballard's dead. Well, if you go plus Fiery Cannonade, I'd be kind of sad, or plus double a Braid or something. But at the end of the day, like, even if it stays in play a little bit, the unfortunate part about this is they get to discard all their dead cards. Although they're not really dead. Alright, triple red. I think that's an interesting one. I think it's probably worse than Chandra Torch of Defiance until it comes out of standard. Like, they just have so many dead cards. Like, oh boy, you get to Harness Lightning. Nice, terminate against my, like, basically creatureless deck. And I can pop a Metallurgic Summonings and go crazy. They've used all 4 disallows. Just kind of lucky that they drew all 4, but at the end of the day, what? I'll just commit the Gearhulk, kill the Jaya, and they'll be drawing the Gearhulk later, which is awful for them. Commit your Gearhulk to kill the Jaya. Now you're in an absolutely dreadful spot. You have 2.5 minutes to, like, somehow try to assemble a kill. Yeah, with this deck, like, I showed game 1. If I had had more time, I would have gotten to think longer, might have won that match. Like, you need to play really quickly. So, I would suggest playing a few games in the practice rooms, as miserable as they are, before you try entering queues. I'm just going to untap here. I'm not going to waste my pull on that stuff. Like, they had to, like, this deck crushes other control decks most of the time that aren't, like traditional control decks, kind of like this. Because it doesn't matter how many hard counters they have, they're not going to have enough to fight our hard counters, as well as fighting, like, because they can't let As Foretold resolve, because then I have such a mana advantage. Like, this is what happens. They have dead cards. It's like most control decks, even if they built their deck to beat other control decks, like, they have a bunch of cards that they would traditionally leave in, like Essence Scatter, which they can't. Like, now I just get to pull for a bunch, and they have to choose. Do they want, like, if they have Glimmer, or if they have Gearhulk, it'll be pretty sad or something. The Gearhulk disallowed the, I don't even know. Like, because now I have 2 10-10s. They're going to have to, like, Glimmer into Gearhulk, maybe? I don't even know. If they Gearhulk here, what are they doing? They have to either counter my draw 8, otherwise they're just toast. Like, they drew Gearhulk, and it doesn't even matter. Like, they've been drawn pretty well. Like, sure, they drew a bunch of dead cards, but they also drew all 4 of their hard counters. They drew all the disallows, they drew some syncopates, like, they drew... Yeah, like, they have to choose, and then they die either way. They let me draw 8, or I think they're dead either way. Yeah, they block. They wouldn't be dead on board, but, like, would be dead, because I'd have a million counterspells. See you in round 5.